Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Lit Up Lightworker Podcast, bringing you fun and soulful interviews with spiritual teachers with the aim of tuning you in and lighting you up. You can access all episodes of the podcast on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and TuneIn. And be sure to subscribe to my YouTube channel for more videos and interviews all about finding and following your life purpose. My name is George Lizos. I'm a spiritual teacher, intuitive healer, the author of Be the Guru, Lightworkers Gotta Work, and the #1 best-selling Protect Your Light. And today I have with me Rachael Hunt. Rachael is a spiritual business and mindset coach and founder of Freedom School. She's passionate about empowering women to lead a life of desire and pleasure by supporting them through subconscious reprogramming and energetic refinement. She paves the way by unapologetically pursuing freedom and guiding you how it can be done. Rachael, welcome to the Lit Up Lightworker Podcast.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me. I'm very, very excited for this conversation.
I am so happy to have you here to talk about essentially what got me into doing this work in the first place, working a full-time job and desiring this life of freedom and breaking away from the stereotypes and the cages and getting to live the life on my own terms. So before we chat all about that and how to do so, I want to hear your own journey of finding your own freedom. How did it happen?
Yeah, well, I love this question. I feel like so many people can relate to my journey. It's not so different from a lot of people I've spoken to, similar to what you just described, the glimpse you gave me. I worked corporate right out of school. I thought that was what was destined for me, and I hated it. I hated it. I didn't understand what was wrong with me because friends around me were finding these amazing jobs and working for these amazing companies and were like good. They were thriving. And I just, nothing was fulfilling to me. I hopped around to different jobs and companies thinking that it was just the company, it was just this role. And I felt ultimately the same at each one. And I would find myself, Instagram had launched, but Pinterest was the bigger platform. So I would spend days on end when I'm meant to be working, like Pinteresting, looking at, these fashion and lifestyle bloggers' lives and being like, wow, like I want this. Like, how could I get this? Like it felt like a pipe dream. Like it did not feel real, possible, capable to me. So anyways, held that vision, but let it go. Just didn't think it was destined for me. I ended up having a series of health issues, which nobody knew what was wrong with me. Different specialists were like, no, you're fine. You're young. You're just anxious. Take some of this, take some of that. And I had already lived a pretty holistic life. So I wasn't satisfied with just being prescribed depression or like antidepressant pills, antidepressants, that's what they're called. And so I decided to go the holistic route even further, found out I had celiac disease. And that gave me this crazy empowerment. Like I was working a job that I hated, really hated, and I was being like kind of bullied at work, and finding out what was wrong with me on a physical level gave me this, like, I can't even believe I did it, but I remember being like, screw this job. Like, I don't need it anymore. It is not worth it for me to be suffering, feeling stressed out, feeling anxious every single day, crying in the bathroom stalls, calling my mom in a panic. Like this isn't what I'm meant to be doing at 24 years old. So this celiac diagnosis, which is not ideal, but ended up being such a blessing in disguise. And when I discovered I can't eat gluten anymore, which is like all the best foods, pasta, pizzas, pastries, cereals, like all these yummy things I couldn't eat anymore, I became really passionate about finding, well, what can I eat and where can I eat? So that became a little passion project for me as I was taking a sabbatical from the corporate world, and I built this platform. Then I got the sense of freedom. I was like, whoa, like there's something here. I wasn't making a lot of money at all, but it was giving me the sense of purpose. And so I built that out for a couple of years. It actually led me to be able to leave the corporate world altogether a few years later. But as I evolved that journey of blogging and lifestyle influencing, it actually led me down this road of spirituality, this world of personal growth. And so when I quit my last job to build this blog into something bigger, I was freelancing a little bit as well. I had no idea what coaching was. I had no idea, but I knew that my journey into spirituality, into personal growth was deepening. And I was fascinated by the world. And then through a series of events, I found coaching. Through a series of events, like the universe truly did guide me. I started kind of coaching some other influencers on how to make money. That's how I initially started. But then there was something bigger there. Women were like, but I don't have the confidence. I have, low self-esteem. I don't think I'm good enough. And that's when I was like, okay, hold on. Like there's something bigger than just me telling you how to make money. It's actually about your mindset, because that's something that I had to deal with and heal through. So that's in a very quick overview, like how I got to more or less what I'm doing today.
I love that. And what I think your journey really portrays so beautifully is that we don't need to know the entire journey of how our life purpose looks like. A lot of the work I do is I coach people and I mentor them on finding and following their purpose. And people want to know, okay, what is my purpose? What is my purpose? But sometimes we're not meant to know the entire journey. We just need to know the next step. And it shows that the next step was given to you. It was all about overcoming celiac and learning what to eat, etc. And then the next step unfolded, and the next step, and here you are right now. I think it's so inspiring to hear these stories, because people can relate, as you said, and they can also feel at ease knowing that the step they're at right now is the perfect step for them, and the next step will be revealed when the time is right. Now, I'm curious, how do you define a freedom lifestyle? You teach it so beautifully on Instagram. I love scrolling through your pictures and your videos. So can you define it for the listeners?
Yeah, so I'll also love this question, because to me, and in my experience working with so many women in their pursuit of the freedom life, it is so different for each and every person. For me, the way I live my freedom life now is living in Tulum, Mexico, being able to operate my business in a destination that lights me up, that, feels really good. I do not like cold winters, and I'm from Canada, and that is like what we're known for, very cold winters. I love being around like-minded women and men, and being surrounded by spirituality and wellness, but also having like a hint of fun and play, if that's what I desire also. So for me, this is my freedom life. My freedom life allows me to mix fun and play, and being sassy and being silly, all the while like really impacting and empowering women. But for someone else, if you're a mother or a parent, or you're, I don't know, like maybe you are a bit more of a homebody, but you just want the financial freedom. You want the freedom to create your own hours. Like it will look different for everyone. Not everybody wants to live in Tulum, Mexico. Not everybody wants to have location freedom necessarily. So my like work is in supporting my clients in understanding and getting clear on like, what is it that you want? Because I think sometimes we get an idea of what we want or what we should want based on others, when at a soul level, it's not what we really want. So we're pursuing something that's not meant for us, not right for us. And again, that's kind of, we could go on a tangent about that, but so it really is about us coming back into like our soul alignment, like what lights you up. Some people love winter vacations and love winter sports. For me, that would be like my worst nightmare. That's not my idea of freedom.
For me as well.
Yeah. So the freedom lifestyle is allowing you to tap into your intuition, into your soul, and let it guide you. Let it reveal what would make you the happiest. I think so often through our conditioning, I think it's beautiful that you've been on your own pursuit of the freedom life. I think we've been so conditioned to dim and dull and turn off our true desires. We've been conditioned to want the corporate job, climb the corporate ladder, find a partner, buy a home, create a family, start a family, all of this. And here in Mexico, like being surrounded by so many digital nomads, I realized that is a construct that so many people actually don't subscribe to. But for me, when I was living back in Toronto, that's the construct a lot of people abide to, and a lot of the construct that people subscribe to. So it's really breaking out of the mold of what we've been taught, what we've been told, and defining it and creating it for yourself. And the only way you'll be able to do that is you giving yourself permission to tap into the intuition and to listen to the whispers and the nudges that are coming up for you.
I love that. And that's a realization I've had recently. When we're kids, they ask us, what do you want to be when you grow up? Nobody asks us, what things do you want to do when you grow up? Where do you want to go when you grow up? So we're conditioned to think that we're meant to fit into these little stereotypical patriarchal way of living, which is not in alignment with what our soul wants to do. So I found myself asking the question, like recently, this week actually, like, what do I want to do before I die? I think that's such a powerful question, because it got me realizing, you know what? There are so many things I want to do that don't fit into this stereotypical, oh, here's what you do and you do it for your entire life. Like, I want to act and I want to sing and I want to write books and I want to empower people and I want to do so many things. We're multidimensional people. Why just fit it into something so cagey, like something so stereotypical and rigid? So I loved your, especially your last tip there, to listen to your intuition and follow your calling. So could you give us like a practical process that we can use to really know what it is we want and how the freedom lifestyle looks for every single person? Because I think we're so conditioned to not think about what we want and always do what other people want us to do that we don't even know sometimes what it is that we want. So how do we know what it is we want?
So again, you're asking really great questions. And as I wrapped up that last response, I was like, oh, I want to add this. So this is actually what I wanted to add. If you're unsure what it is that you really desire, because again, you haven't allowed yourself to, maybe you're like, I don't even know how to listen to my intuition. I don't even know what that looks like or sounds like. I mean, it's there, it's whispering. It'll get louder once you get like comfortable with it and you start to acknowledge it. But in the early stages, okay, so if you're scrolling on Instagram or if you're scrolling on Pinterest, let's use these platforms as an example, because I think everyone for the most part is on that. What are you gravitating towards? If you're looking at, say you come across my feed and you're like, whoa, like this life she has, like this, oh my God, like I desire, like you will get clues from people that you're observing. You will get clues. I mean, I think Lacey Phillips calls it, it's Lacey Phillips, your expanders. So when you're on social media or your Pinterest or Instagram or Facebook even, and you're seeing someone who's living an unconventional life or doing something differently, or maybe not even doing something so differently, but they're doing something that you're not doing, and it's creating some sort of response within you, like it kind of excites you, but maybe you're also like judging it a little bit. Maybe you're like, oh my God, must be nice, or oh, this, like pay attention to whatever it is. When you're getting some sort of reaction or response from what you're seeing, it's a good clue or indication that that's something that you desire for yourself, especially those judgments. Actually, if you're noticing that you're judging someone, say, I'm going to use myself as an example. If you're looking at Freedom Rachel's Instagram and you're like, oh, must be nice, she's in Mexico, must be nice, she's, having a midday break at the beach, must be nice. I imagine that judgment comes from a place of desire. And when we start to realize that the judgments or the projections or the triggers are actually desires, you can start to look at it with a different lens and be like, wait a minute, this is actually telling me something. Or you could also be looking and admiring and being like, wow, that's so nice. Again, also a clue or an indication, but it could be presented to you in two different ways. To me, that's the best way for you to become aware of what it is you truly desire. And it may not be exactly, and it won't be exactly the way that someone has created it, but it'll be in your own unique way. And that person is expanding for you and showing you what's possible and showing you what you desire.
Oh my goodness, I love this tip. And I've never consciously thought about my own process of doing that. But now thinking back, I've done that with all my mentors, like my business mentor, Amy Porterfield. I see her business and I'm like, yes, I want to run a digital business. Marie Forleo that I worked with in the past, same kind of thing. So I love that concept of the expanders. Could you mention the name again of the person who talked about that?
Yeah, it's Lacey Phillips. She runs To Be Magnetic. Her platform is really beautiful. Yeah. So she has this concept called the expanders, and it's people that we are triggered by, or we're like, it can be either triggered by or inspired by. But either way, it's giving you the same kind of response of like, oh, like, I want that, right?
Yes, they're expanding your perception of what you can
Yes,
do and who you can be. I love that.
yes,
So,
yes.
is everyone able to live a freedom lifestyle, or are some people just meant to not to?
I think everybody is.
Yeah.
The difference is, like we were talking about, some people's freedom may be working corporate, though. The financial freedom they desire comes from working a stable corporate job. Not everybody aspires to be an entrepreneur. Not everybody aspires to travel, as I do. Not everybody has these same aspirations, but I believe everybody can cultivate their version of the freedom life. And to me, it goes beyond just like what your life or lifestyle looks like. The freedom life also encompasses emotional freedom, energetic freedom, spiritual freedom. It's you feeling liberated and you feeling like so comfortable and confident in the life that you have. I think about my sister who has a very good like corporate job, and her fiance, works at the same company, and they've got really like, they're very happy, they're very comfortable there. It's very different from what I aspire to, but they're able to like live a really great life, and they love it, and they get a ton of flexibility and time off. And if I were to look at her life, I don't aspire to have that, but I admire the way she lives it because she's so happy with it. She may look at my life and be like, I don't aspire to have that, but she admires the way I live my life because we both are living a version of our freedom life. So everybody absolutely can. And it will come down to your willingness to allow yourself to go for it and to receive it. Yeah.
Yes, I love this. Again, the freedom in the freedom lifestyle for each person to choose exactly how they want to express that. Because as you said, for some people, it may be a 9-to-5 job, and that's okay. Because I feel a lot of times within the entrepreneurial community, there is this implicit judgment of, to be free, you need to be an entrepreneur, or to be free, you need to be this specific way, but it's not. It's true freedom. Like you get to choose who you want to be and how you get to live your life. So let's say someone listening right now goes like, you know what? Yes, I have the idea right now in my mind of this is how my freedom lifestyle looks like. Where do I start? Where where would you start?
Loaded question, but great question. I mean, again, it depends on what that vision is for them. And you made a really great point a bit earlier of, we don't need to know all the steps. Like, break it down. I think sometimes we look at the end goal and we're like, oh my gosh, that's so far away. Like, I want that. I'm clear on what I want, but you're looking at the end goal. So the best place to start would be to work backwards. Like, it would be to kind of chunk it down and make it manageable, like make it like a bite-sized step that you need to take first, versus like if your goal is, say, monetary, or your goal is like you're just graduating and starting starting a job, and you're like, but I want to be like an entrepreneur. Like, there's steps that are required, or that it will take you to get to that point. And they become very overwhelming. And I think that's when a lot of self-sabotage creeps in, and when we're trying to look too far in advance or too far ahead. And also the path changes, right? So what you desire right now actually may shift and change as you begin to make steps, right? I think actually that's one aspect of me that, I mean, at times it's a little annoying, but I don't actually have like 5 or 10-year plans. I really am a lot more aligned with like a moment to moment. Like, I know how I want to feel, and I know like what I want my life to like look like roughly, but I've never been one to like, this is how it has to go for the next 5 years, and it's got to be this and this and this. And I think that's actually why I've been able to create this life, is because I haven't been so focused on the details. So that would be my advice. Don't focus on all the details and all the things that you're going to have to do to get to that point. Just focus on what you need to do here and now. And there are if it's an entrepreneur you desire to become, there are so many amazing programs out there that are designed to help you build your business. I have Freedom Business School. There are so many other amazing online coaches who have programs like that as well. So start that way. You're also incredibly resilient and resourceful. You can figure out how to get yourself up and off the ground, I imagine, as well. So yeah, it's really like, take that big audacious goal and just break it down a little bit and let one foot go in front of the other, rather than trying to, like, it's a marathon, not a sprint. I always say that, like, there's no rush to the end. There's no rush to the finish line. And if you are, what is your intention behind it? Like, truly the journey is the most beautiful part of it. And I say that now after like years of doing this. Obviously in the beginning, I was like, I just want to be there now. But what I've learned and what I can share, it's like, take it slowly. And it doesn't mean slowly in the true concept of time. Like, it can be fast, but just be patient with yourself and allow yourself to move with what feels right now.
Yes, there's this beautiful quote by Abraham Hicks that says that there cannot be a happy ending to an unhappy journey. So for the ending to be happy, every step of the journey has to also be happy. It brings you right into the present moment and helps you realize, you know what can I do now to feel free? And then day by day, freedom by freedom, then you get to create that freedom lifestyle.
Yes.
But limiting beliefs essentially always come up to sabotage us. Who are you to do this? For me, it was, who are you who live in who were brought up in a small island, who English is not your first language? How can you be able to do this work? How are you going to be able to write books, etc.? So everybody has their own limiting beliefs and conditioning running in the background. What are your steps or processes or mindset around dealing with that, and how do we overcome those limiting beliefs so that we can take those steps and create that freedom lifestyle?
Yeah, this is huge. I mean, back to the last question you asked me, like, one of the first things in making a big change in our life, like that journey, I believe starts with mindset. You know, it will enhance your journey. It will amplify your journey. It will accelerate your journey. Mindset is everything. I mean, our entire belief system is what creates our reality. So for me, when I left my last full-time job and became a full-time entrepreneur, that was, I came up to my own roadblocks about 6 months in, and I was my own worst enemy. I was the only one standing in my way. And when I realized that, I became really passionate about studying the subconscious mind, because so often we are making decisions and taking action from our conscious mind. And our conscious mind is telling us, like, I'm going to be a 7-figure entrepreneur. I'm going to like fill up all my programs. I'm going to be like so successful. It's going to be an overnight success. I'm going to be amazing. I'm amazing. I'm amazing. But then underneath the surface, where our unconscious mind lives, and that takes up 96% of our mind. So keep in mind, the remainder is the conscious mind. And that's where we're trying to operate from the most, unbeknownst to what's underneath the surface. So the unconscious mind is going to be like, no. Your parents were not successful. Your parents didn't have a lot of money. Yeah, actually, you don't really know that much. You've only just started. So it starts looping all of and it feeds on evidence. So it's going to pick up on evidence that you've experienced. And if the evidence isn't there for you to be a 7-figure entrepreneur, for you to fill up all your programs and be well loved and liked and admired, and for you to be super successful, the contradiction is going to stand in your way. And so that's just a random example I just threw together. But the idea is that your unconscious mind is where your beliefs, your values, your identity, and your potential lives. And so if you're trying to change solely based on your actions, so your behaviors are the only thing you're changing. So this is why so many New Year's resolutions fail after a few weeks, because you're only changing your behavior. You're not changing your beliefs. So if you want to lose weight at the beginning of the year and you're like going to go to the gym, you're going to change your diet, but your unconscious programming, it's like, you're not good enough to lose the weight. You're not good enough to, live this healthy lifestyle. Who are you? Like you mentioned, like, who are you to be this version of you? Like, no. And your unconscious mind, it wants to preserve and protect us. But if it's operating from a limitation or a lack or a scarcity, that's what becomes our reality. So when we change our behavior alone, rather than looking and doing the deeper inner work of reprogramming the subconscious mind, which when we start to reprogram the unconscious mind, we energetically vibrate differently, because all beliefs and emotions carry an energetic blueprint. So once we start to liberate ourselves, like really free ourselves from the construct or the confines of our own mind, we actually begin to radiate differently. And so I like to see it as like, as I do this like heavy lifting with my clients and we start to peel back these layers, you naturally start to radiate differently. So when clients are like, oh, like, I don't get it, I'm getting more compliments, or, so many more people have been interested in my program, so many more followers are showing it. It's because your energy is actually vibrating on a different frequency. So going back to the example of like the New Year's resolutions, if you haven't done any sort of reprogramming work to change your belief system, to change your identity, to shift your identity to encompass the identity of that version of you who's like the healthiest, most fit, strongest, glowing version of yourself, and you're still trying to operate from your old paradigm, couple weeks in, you're going to slip back to your old ways. And so the behaviors and results come from the conscious mind. So often we're only trying to change consciously. If you want lasting results, if you want to truly become the best, I say this in quotations, but I mean it, like the best version of yourself. I say that because it's a little cliche, but it's true. You've got to work from within. You've got to look at the beliefs and be honest. So many people aren't honest with themselves. You got to be really radically honest with yourself and say like, okay, what do I really believe? I say I want this, but what do I really believe? And when I ask my clients to do deeper journaling around like, okay, so you know this, but you're not being it, right? It's one thing to conceptually understand something. It's another to be embodying and really have integrated that. And when we start to like dive into it a bit more, it's like, oh, actually there's this that's coming up. And it's like, but this is good. We want to be aware of that. So I strongly believe like if you are desiring to be an entrepreneur, you're desiring to make a major life change, or you're trying to call in your soulmate partner, your dream love, your big love, but there's something underneath that's telling you you're not good enough, not worthy enough. You've got shame or guilt around it. You've got anger and resentment, any negative emotion or limiting belief around it. That is what is going to be mirrored back to you. That is what will be reflected. So you want to change your life. You've got to change your mind. You want to change the world around you, your outer world, your external reality. You've got to change your inner world, your inner reality.
Rachel, preach. I love that. Like, I want to make this, I want to listen to this snippet every single morning because that is so powerful. 100% agree with you. It all starts with mindset and then the physical action follows. Yes. What I teach to my own clients is that things manifest energetically first before they manifest physically. So you gotta adjust the energy, you gotta adjust the mindset, and then let that play out in a physical way. Number one piece of advice I would also give to like spiritual entrepreneurs, like start with the mindset and let the things unfold. So you have Freedom School that helps people do all that. As we come to a close, I want you to talk a little bit about what the intention behind that is and how can people work with you?
Yeah, so funny. I mentioned my blog a little bit earlier, and the name of my blog was called Gluten Freedom. Freedom has been this theme, this recurring theme in my life for so long. And when I started shifting into the coaching realm and I realized, well, I can't be gluten freedom any longer. It's not really going to resonate with people who want business or mindset coaching. And in a meditation one day, the name dropped in. It's like Freedom School, and the intention behind it. And now that I've created offers that are beyond just business or entrepreneurial focus, because I do believe freedom, as we've touched on, is desired or sought after by, I think, every single person in different facets of our life and in different ways of our life. So the intention behind it is to support, and I do primarily work with women, but I have been delving more into work with men, but primarily in setting women free, like liberating them, expanding them, showing them what's possible and available to them, and giving them the opportunity to believe that themselves. Because it's one thing to see it and to be like, oh yeah, like that's nice. Oh, like I desire that. But it's another, and this is probably the biggest piece of feedback I get from clients. It's like, oh, I get it now. Like I do believe it's possible for me. And the reason they believe it's possible for them is because we've worked from within and we've healed from within. So the intention is to, set you free, whether it's your money mindset, whether it's the way run and operate your business, whether it's now I'm delving more into like relationships, or it's like wanting to like start your manifestation journey. Like to me, they all link together. Like my process is more or less the same, whether I'm supporting you with business, money mindset in general, or relationships. Like the process is the same and it all comes from within. So ultimately it comes down to like freeing yourself. And I see like the decision you make, the choice you make, because it's all a choice, to do this work is one of the highest acts of self-value and self-worth, because then you are allowing the universe to step in to support you spiritually. Like if we're trying to do everything all on our own, we're only going to get so far. So it's kind of like, we free ourselves and we also pass it over to the higher powers. And Freedom School allows you to connect with that. I think when we step out of our own way, we get to connect to ourselves. We get to come back home. And when we come back home, we connect not only to ourselves, but the higher powers that are there for us. They're always there. They've always been there, but you connect to them. And when you do, your life really can transform and become so beautiful, so magical.
I love that. And I love how Freedom School links so many different aspects of our lives, allowing us to find freedom, not just within business, but within it all. Thank you so much for sharing, Rachael, all these fabulous tools with us. Can you let everyone know where they can get in touch with you on Instagram and your website? And of course, all the links will be in the show notes below.
Instagram, it's at Freedom Rach. There's 2 H's. My last name's Hunt, so it's not just like Rach, but Rach H. And then my website is freedomschool.co. And you can find all the things I'm working on over there.
Thank you so much, Rachael, and wishing you a lovely rest of your day.
Thank you. You too. Thank you for having me.